Hey guys, welcome back to Starcastic Remarks. That was definitely a fun game. Alongside Chris, my name is Ryan. We are the most sarcastic and remarky show of all time. Thank you to Game Time and DraftKings Sportsbook. Use that promo code THP and the next time you are there. Chris, how are we doing tonight? Dallas Stars get the win 3-1 over the Caps.
Amazing. That might have been the most exciting hockey game we've seen. Definitely the most physical. I mean, they were banging bodies all over the place, and the Stars came up and really matched it, which was really surprising to me to see them match what the Capitals were doing physically tonight. I thought it was fantastic. Our big guys who we've been harping on all season, it's like 3 games in a row now that they're really taking a hold of this team and pushing them across the finish line. And yeah, really excited. Good couple games right there.
I agree with you on the most part, but although we'll get into a little bit of this game here tonight. But thank you guys so much for following along with us live here today. We've got a ton of you here over this incredible win. This might be a statement win, Chris.
Yes, absolutely.
Here's the thing. The thing that we have really been struggling on a lot didn't happen tonight. Our best players were our best players. Our special teams came through on both sides of the puck tonight.
Yep, huge.
And the goaltending was good tonight.
Yep.
So it's what Razor says all the time. If you have special teams and you've got goaltending, normally you're gonna win the game. And for me, I think that's the biggest takeaway is that power play. We were successful on it for the most part. The PK was incredible. I mean, Essa Lindell, ridiculous at playing 7:58 of 8 minutes on the penalty kill.
Yep.
With Harley being out tonight, it's just fantastic to see these guys play the way they did tonight and against a really good team on the Washington Capitals. Give me something that you want to talk about first, because normally I'm the one that kind of jumps in, but I'll let you have the first run here.
Yeah, I got a lot of things to bring up, but since you just mentioned the PK, we give a lot of crap to the coaches for how bad the power play has been. We need to give them some credit for how great the penalty kill was, especially tonight against a really good Caps power play. They just knew what was coming, and they stopped it every single time. The Caps barely broke through the blue line, and I think you need to give the coaching staff a lot of credit to getting the guys prepared for what was coming on the attack there and knowing where to go and where to stop stuff like that. So you got to give the coaching staff credit for that, especially since we've given them so much crap for the power play.
And the power play, they looked good tonight. It's not
and
like
they've been looking better the past few games too.
And I'm not sure what the difference is. I think they're just shooting.
I know really what the difference is. It's not just shooting. It's movement. It's the puck moving. Obviously, that's what all the people on Twitter were saying is puck movement. But the question I have is, how do you get to that puck movement? It's because people are getting open more. People are moving more. If you go back and you look at that power play goal, you'll see when the puck is starting to move around the outside of the zone, there are 2 guys moving, and it's Jamie Benn, the primary assist, and the goal scorer. They're both moving as soon as the puck goes, not because they're looking immediately to get a pass, but because they know what they're trying to set up. And it's movement on the power play without the puck that gets these guys open. I also noticed a lot more. The guy on the sidewall is coming out further from the center of the zone if he's getting blocked off by the defender. So he's making himself more available for the pass, making it an easier pass. So we're not having to try and do a little saucer that's not even into a high scoring zone. So I think it's a lot more movement with the puck, a lot more movement when you don't have the puck and getting into areas where you can receive the pass. And that's really opening it up. And it really exposed the aggressive Caps penalty kill tonight.
And the other thing I think I've noticed actually while you were talking about all of that is we're seeing the high slot shot a little bit more. I mean, not tonight. We didn't see it as much, but we did see forward up high, and we saw that the trips up on the blue line. But I'm specifically thinking about the Jason Robertson goal from the last game. I mean, that was that's exactly what he needs to do. And those are the type of shots that we saw from him last year, where he would just get it and it would look like it's nothing, and then he just flings it into the net. And I guess this is kind of getting into the next little part, but that top line, and specifically Hintz and Robertson, consistency is key. Is something I complained about in the last game. Even though we won, I complained about the consistency and that the fact that we haven't seen it from our best players. And this is 2 games in a row now where we've seen it consistently from both of those guys.
Yeah, when you look at Robo and you think about how he played against Nashville, you just say that's not Robo at all. And you go back and watch this game, that's Jason Robertson. That's who he's
Yes.
missing all season long, and he looked absolutely fantastic. He looked better tonight than he did last night, I feel like, when he scored a goal. I mean, he just is in the right places right now. Obviously, feeding hints on that second goal was incredible. So he's looking like he's getting comfortable finally. And I'm really interested to see how Bork can play up with him. Obviously, it worked really well for them in the second half of this game. Bork got put on that line late in the second period when they're still kind of trying to unclog the 5-on-5. And I thought it looked really good. I liked it.
So let's jump into that a little bit too. So what he's talking about, y'all that are listening, they basically took Bork, threw him up on the top line. I'm not sure who moved down to the fourth line, but then we saw Johnston get moved onto that line with Ben and Dodonov, which we saw some chemistry between those three guys a little bit last year. I thought both lines looked a little bit better, and maybe it's just because Hintz and Robertson are looking better despite having whoever as the trio guy. But Bork didn't completely look out of place, and you know what's kind of nice? I was kind of watching him play is with him being on that fourth line, he's had to be a little bit more scrappy, and that's kind of the play style that he's had to play it because he's not getting a whole ton of minutes. But maybe that would be a good quality for him to have, and maybe that can help out Robertson and Hintz, and maybe he's the F1. He goes down and he takes care of business down and dirty in the deep ends.
Yeah. Also being on the top line is just going to be able to help him unlock some more of that skill that he had in the AHL that he hasn't really shown yet in the big leagues. Like he's the top goal scorer in the AHL last year for a reason. I mean, the dude has hands. He has a crazy shot. He just hasn't been able to figure out the NHL the way Johnson and Stankoven have to really be able to show that. And he definitely has it in him. I know he was playing on the fourth line. I don't see him as a long-term fourth line guy. So I think this could really help him break that out into the NHL.
And then the other thing, Chris, I'm sorry, I love you so much, but you're never getting Liam Bichsel back. That was one of the first things I put up there towards the end of the third period when he sat. Who was it? I think it was Faravari in front of. No, it wasn't Faravari. It was someone. Radish. It was Radish in front. He just planted him on his butt, and he's like, "You're not getting anywhere close to my goalie." And then that's when I sent out a tweet. I was just like, sorry, he's never going back to Cedar Park. ...
Yeah, and it was such an interesting game tonight for Bichsel because I think it really was a game where he's able to shine, a more physical one, probably the most physical one Dallas has been in this season, a team that doesn't typically like playing in these big kind of physical games, but he did very well in it. And his first period was actually pretty rough for him. If you go back and take a look at it, he gets burned a couple of times. He gets elevated to playing with the top pair. He starts the game playing with Miro Heiskanen, which, I mean, that's quite the jump to go from Cedar Park, and 3 games later, you're playing on the top pair of the Dallas Stars. And he did all right. He did just get beat a couple times, made a couple poor decisions because he had less time with the puck, I feel like. And in the second period, actually, he only has 4 shifts. And it just so happens his fourth one he scores on. So, and after that, his third period was absolutely fantastic. I thought he was outstanding the third period. And this is actually something, he did this exact same thing in a game in Cedar Park. He was playing a ton in the first period like he normally does. And he made an ill-advised aggressive play in the neutral zone to try and go for a hit, turned into a 2-on-1 and an eventual goal. And he got sat for over 10 minutes in the second period. And he came out after that and played the best half game I've probably seen him play in Cedar Park. So he does really good in these games where he's struggling a little bit in responding and not taking it personally and using it to go and be better. And also you got to give some credit to DeBoer. I don't know if he knew about that game from Bichsel or not, where he got sat, but he responds well to that kind of, I don't know what you call it, punishment, but that kind of correction. Yeah. He responds well to it, and he did again tonight, getting the goal, obviously, but just for me more is playing better in that third period when we really needed him, especially since Lundqvist went down.
I don't think Lundqvist is hurt. I think he's just sick. I think he played enough, and we had to have somebody. Thomas Harley was probably in worse shape than Lundqvist, so Nils was like, "Okay, I'll jump in," and then he just couldn't go in the third period. At least that's what I'm hoping.
Yeah, he has 10 minutes time on ice after coming back from the flu from just a few days ago.
That's pretty good.
10 minutes is on the higher end for him for a normal game. So coming back from the flu, I bet he just got gassed, and I bet he started throwing some chunks. So I think that's what it is too. And that's another thing. I'm sorry to be jumping all over you on this podcast, but this is a good game for overcoming adversity for the team as a whole. I mean, I'm sure if one of them's sick, a lot of them are sick, maybe not most of them, but a good portion of them are likely feeling a little bit under the weather at least. And playing with 5 defensemen in the third period when the Caps are all downhill on a 9-game point streak or whatever they said, 10. And to be able to handle it the way they did, and especially the bounce back in the third period. The first 10 minutes of the third period was bad for the Stars, and the pushback in the last 10 was fantastic. So a really good game for overcoming adversity too, I feel like. And that's why I agree with your statement at the beginning of the podcast that this is a statement win for the Stars. This is a rubber stamp. This is a pass test.
And it is that because for one specific reason only in my mind, Chris, and it's the physicality of this game, and the Capitals the Capitals basically forced it out of the Stars.
Yeah.
I mean, good for Brendan Smith. Who was it up here? How about Smith not letting Miro go to the box and give some credit to Joe Baker? That was huge. And that was he got destroyed by Duhaime, let's be honest. But like they haven't done that in the past 29 games. They haven't done that very much. There hasn't been a lot of pushback from the Dallas Stars. We saw that from Miro tonight. What the heck? Cross-check the guy and just clear across the back. That should have been called. And Smith takes the cross-checking penalty for him. So like and then Bischel with a couple of just big giant plays, more physicality.
Him and Wilson giving them back and forth tonight.
Right, exactly. And then and it doesn't have to be that much, right? Yep. It doesn't have to be that much, but there needs to be some pushback from the Stars when they play against these teams like this, where it's just forecheck. And they did that tonight. And you know what? They won the game because of it. I truly believe that. There's a lot of factors in this game, but that's a factor that will go unnoticed if more people don't talk about it.
This is a physicality level that we haven't had the past 3 seasons, and this is a physicality level that, especially during the playoffs, has been able to push the Stars around and really knock us off our game. And I don't think it did that, and I think, in fact, it elevated it. I thought we played better when it got more physical, which, I mean, the past 3 seasons, that would never have happened. We would just try to ignore it and try to pretend it wasn't there. But they played into it, and it was fantastic. And I'm going to give Smith props, too, because he fully recognized, hey, Miro Heiskanen just did that to that guy. That guy shouldn't be fighting or going to the box. Smith obviously is not a fighter. If you watch that fight, he was no idea what he was doing.
He had no idea.
But what he did know is that he should go to the box and Miro shouldn't. So that's a fantastic play by a 7th defenseman, knowing your role perfectly. Great awareness by Smith to do that there. That is gigantic. Can you imagine what happens if you start the third period with 5 minutes with no Miro Heiskanen? That would have been crazy. 7, yeah, it was 7 because I gave the 2. So it's a great play by Smith. That's a great thing to point out by our listeners there, because that's the inside of hockey right there, is knowing that Heiskanen shouldn't go to the box and Smith should.
And he had a good game tonight too. Just in general, Smith's play, I didn't
it was solid.
See much. I thought it was. I didn't see anything that I thought I could criticize.
Much better than Chicago.
Yes, much better than Chicago. A couple of comments on some of the stuff we talked about. Zachary saying it's like Bischel ignited a spark or something. And then Jacob saying, man, I've never seen Miro that pissed before. Absolutely. I can't think of one particular instance other than it was a couple, I think it was a year and a half ago. It was against Montreal. And there was an empty netter, and he took his stick and then he slammed it into the net. Broke his stick and he was screaming at his own, not screaming, but Miro screaming at his own bench. So I remember that.
That's what I was thinking about too.
Yeah, that's the only other time I can think about that. So okay, Let me do a negative with a positive here, Chris, and you can agree or disagree with me on this. In my personal opinion, I don't want to say the Stars got lucky because they didn't, because they had better special teams and they got the better goaltending tonight. But I thought 5-on-5 wise, I thought Washington deserved a better effort out of their game tonight. I thought they were the better team for a majority of the game. And it was about puck management, especially in the second period. I think it was Brian who mentioned that they had the puck 68% of the time in the second period.
Which is shocking, especially against Dallas, who's a puck possession team.
And that's one of their strengths, and that's the only way that they can win games is they have to manage the puck. I mean, yeah, they have rush chances and stuff like that, but they still control the puck. So, but because of that, Ottinger was absolutely fantastic tonight. I mean, there were so many chances here tonight that he was just big for. He didn't make like a highlight reel save tonight, but there were several high danger scoring chances where he came up huge. Absolutely came up huge. And then this is a side tangent to that a little bit, but the defense specifically of Esa Lindell and of Miro Heiskanen tonight were just beyond fantastic. Just elite level, and it shows you why that both of those guys are being chosen by their Four Nations team. I mean, they're going to be the top pairing, for Finland. It's not even going to be close.
Yeah, Esa Lindell finishes the night with 30 minutes and 37 seconds time on ice. Him and Miro played the last 3 minutes of the hockey game, the whole last 3 minutes. So that was fantastic. Another shout out to the coaching staff there. They were able to get Miro and Lindell on the ice before the Caps even pulled the goalie too. So good line change there and making sure you get your best guys out, especially when you're down a guy. But yeah, defense has been outstanding. That's been our strong point all season. And that's really the thing that we've really held on to at this beginning of the season, Mark, is that, hey, we might not be scoring, but our defense is even better than it was last season when we're still trying to fight for trying to find a guy on the right side. But yeah, the defense was fantastic. Otter made a couple of pretty good highlight saves. The toe pick save is probably the big one that sticks in my mind. But the number one thing I think is him managing the traffic all night. I mean, his positioning was fantastic to get shots that maybe he didn't exactly see, but there's also a lot of looking around, big bodies, which the Caps have a lot of, that were parked right in front of him. He was finding the puck around those guys all night tonight, and he did a fantastic job doing that.
Couple of comments over here that are interesting, Chris. Jacob again, it ain't about the size of the dog, it's the size of the fight inside the dog. Ha ha. That's true. There's some truth to that. And they pushed back tonight. They did.
Especially true for a lot of our smaller players like Stank.
Honestly, I thought he had a rough game tonight a little bit.
I was kind of thinking that his size got a little bit exposed, I felt like, in this one, but his effort is still always there, though.
It's always there. It's just and he's been off a little bit too. He was leading the scoring race for a little while, probably about a month and a half ago, and he's been eclipsed since then by Michkov and several other. And how do you say that guy's name in New York? It starts with TS, like Tiplosov.
Yeah, it starts with a T and an S. I'm not gonna try it.
Yeah, something like that. And then Zachary comes back as Zachary Mitchell. Stars deserve this one, in my opinion. They played a completely different game to step up against a heavy-hitting opponent. The Caps look frustrated, and all of that is true. And I say that not to downgrade the Stars, because I honestly thought that Washington deserved better, but the Stars found a different way to win, and it was a way that we've been frustrated about this year. Their best players were their best players, so they got their special teams not just on the penalty kill, but on the power play, and their goaltending has consistently been there from Ottinger. So we got all three of those sprinkled in, and that's how we've been winning games in the past 2 years. We haven't seen a lot of that this year. We've been winning games different ways, and I mean, I think that's why they probably deserve this one tonight. It just different aspects of the game came out than what we're used to this season, I guess.
Yeah, I'm glad Zachary said that, because I meant to push back on you on the 5-on-5 thing, but we took it a lot of different directions. But it had to make me pick who played better 5-on-5. I agree with you. I'd probably pick the Caps, but I thought it was very close, except for the first period. I thought the Caps pretty much dominated that first period. It was a great road first period by them. Other than that, it was pretty close. I'd still probably give the edge to the Caps. I'd agree, but that's also an insanely hot team playing their best hockey right now too. So little grain of salt there, but yeah, we won everything else. We won goaltending, won power play, won penalty kills. So yeah, in that fact, you deserve to win.
And then James is in the chat. He wishes he was with us here tonight. He's working, but he's still got some stats for us. Robo with 3 multi-point games in the last 4 is awesome. And like I said, our best players have been our best players. He's finally seeing some consistency here, Chris.
Yeah, and he just looks so much better. Like I don't know why the eye test feels so easy with Robo.
He is shooting the puck more. That is that's the biggest difference. There's other parts, but he is shooting the puck more, and sometimes that's all you need.
And Robo's a weird goal scorer. He scores those weird kind of whoa, what just happened goals. Those happened a ton for Robo throughout his career. And the Blues game is a good example of that on the power play. Like, he's way higher up in the slot than you think someone would be to release a quick shot like that, but he did it, it goes in. That's what Robo does.
And then I don't know why I want to mention this, but this is something that I kept saying. When the Stars were just a little bit more aggressive in the offensive zone, things happened really well for the Stars. And for the majority of it, I thought the intensity of the Washington Capitals was hard for the Stars to match tonight. I think if you play the same game again, I think Washington probably wins it 3 times out of 5, in my opinion. Because I was really impressed with, like, this is not the same Washington Capitals team that we've seen the last couple of years. And here's the scary thing. This is without Alexander Ovechkin. You have Alexander Ovechkin out there, I don't care if he's 40. All he has to do is shoot from the half wall, and maybe their power play gets more on the board here tonight. But anyways, I'm getting off track here.
The Caps are definitely way impressive this year. That's way better than they played it all last season. I mean, they were the embarrassment of the NHL in the playoffs last year.
It was like this team is way goal differential.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But another thing that you might want to pump the brakes on a little bit with the Caps is that their top 3 scorers are all on pace to have career years. 2 of the 3 are on pace to double their previous best point totals.
That's nuts.
So they're playing really well. That's not going to go away. I think they're for sure a likely playoff team if they continue to keep this play style up. Because
there's no doubt they're a playoff team in my mind.
It's really good, but these point paces by Strome, McMichael, and Protas, they're not going to be able to keep that up all season. I don't think. I mean, it would be shocking to have 3 players have breakout years to that extent.
And then here's where I really wanted to go with it, because some of the stuff that I've been mentioning is they just need to shoot the puck more often. They got to stop looking for the perfect pass. And sometimes someone's just got to pull the trigger, even if it looks like there's just an extra pass to make, because that extra pass may not always be the best way to get the scoring chance. Sometimes you just throw it on net and it gets blocked or something. And then you have a tic-tac-toe play like you did on the power play here tonight. Johnston, he shoots it twice. The second shot that he takes after he takes it around the net, he gets blocked. He goes tic-tac-toe to Jamie Benn. Benn goes to Hintz roofs it. That was perfect. And then for Bischel's goal here tonight, all he does is throw it on net and it happens to go off a guy's hand and into the net. I mean, like, stuff like that. And then the effort play that Hintz had on Bischel's goal, that doesn't happen. I mean, Hintz deserves way more. I love Bischel to death, but Hintz deserves way more credit on that goal than Bischel does. If Hintz doesn't have that hustle in him to get around the defender there, that goal doesn't happen. And they just, when it felt like there were things that I was getting frustrated about, they had one thing that popped out that was good, like the rush. They just needed to push a little bit more in the offensive zone, like Hintz did there, and they got the goal. We saw the same thing with Bork down there. Bork, he just pushed a little bit more in the offensive zone, and it allowed the Stars to get control of the puck. And then there were some giant chances for that line because of what Bork did on that line. So they just need to do that a little bit more consistency. And I don't know what the answer is, other than they just need to up the intensity there. And tonight they fairly matched up with the Washington Capitals on the intensity, but it was enough that our best players were our best players. And then special teams goaltending, I've already talked about that. But Anyways,
Yep.
what do you think?
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
Biggest winners, biggest losers?
Yep, let's do it.
Biggest winner, Rope Hintz. I mean, that was an amazing game by him. Like you mentioned, it wasn't just the 2 goals; it was the physicality and the tenacity and on the forecheck that he had all night long. He looked fantastic. Obviously, his 2-way game was great all night too. I mean, one of his better games of the season when you really needed it. Like you said, I mean, they really took it to us in a lot of ways on the 5-on-5, but our top line beat their top line pretty handily.
I'm kind of cheating a little bit tonight with my answer, but it's special teams and goaltending. That's the biggest winner here tonight. And I'm still jumping on that whole, I thought we got outplayed a good chunk of the game. We matched it pretty well, better than like we did against the Chicago Blackhawks, for crying out loud. And we fairly evened up on that with them. And then our special teams, I mean, Essa Lindell, my goodness, that man he's an AI monster robot. He's ridiculous. Finish robot. And then just with the special teams, the power play is finally starting to turn around a little bit, and it's because they're shooting. I've already talked about all of that.
Yeah.
Who's your biggest loser?
One more little tangent. Miro Heiskanen had an insane game. He was switching left and right side of the defense all night long. Yeah. He was making insane plays. I mean, that breakup on the 2-on-1, I think that was late in the 3rd period, is just another example of how insane that guy is. I mean, this game is a good example of why stats are liars. He's a -1 on the night with no points. He had an outstanding game. He was fantastic. My biggest loser is the Caps with the extra man tonight. I mean, the power play and the 6-on-5, the Stars defended it super well. It didn't look too dangerous at all, in my opinion, for a power play that's been doing very good this season.
Again, my biggest loser is kind of a little bit of a cheater, but my biggest loser is the fact that we don't see another matchup with the Capitals again this season.
Yeah,
that really
was
sucked.
A fun game.
This has been the most fun game, and I'm sure it wasn't fun for the Capitals because they got frustrated. But at least for us as Stars fans, that was so much fun to watch. And again, I really, just like we talked about a couple of years, that it was actually several years ago, there was a Minnesota win and it was when Radulov was still around, and we pointed to that game at the end of the season, and we had said at that point in the season, this is a statement win. This is where it's going to start turning around. And not that we need a huge turnaround with the Dallas Stars because they're still firmly in the playoffs, but man, this feels like a game that you can build upon. This was such a huge win.
Yeah, we were already trending in the right direction, but this game against the best team points percentage-wise in the league that's on a tear, especially on the road, to do that to them, I thought it was fantastic. Definitely a statement win. Definitely something you want to build on, especially your top guys. I mean, Rope and Robo off to the races now. That's what you really want.
Actually, you know what? We'll give it to biggest losers James because he doesn't get to watch the game tonight. Like that tough. Was James. We love you, bud. Like you don't.
He'll probably watch
you
it
at
tomorrow.
Least listened.
He definitely listened. He definitely listened, but I'm sure he'll watch it.
Yeah, it was just nonstop action. I mean, it was like that game against what was the last game I was there? I was at the AAC for. I haven't gotten to go to the last two. I think it was against the Preds. I mean, it not only was it a bad game, it was boring.
Yeah,
like I was so bored by the end of the game. So, but this game was so much fun, and it feels like this can be something that the Stars can build up upon. So, okay, I think that's it because we got to wrap this up. But it is 10:32 p.m. Thank you, all of you who are following live along with us here this evening. There's even more that are listening afterwards. Thank you to DraftKings and Game Time. Use that promo code THPN. Follow us on social media at Starcastic Art. Basically anywhere and everywhere. If you're watching on YouTube, click like and subscribe. We got over 500 subscribers now, Chris. And if you are listening on the audio side, please consider leaving us a 5-star review anywhere you're listening on your favorite podcasting listening platform. Alongside Chris, my name is Ryan. We will catch you guys on the flip side. Hope you guys have a good, fantastic morning, afternoon, evening, whenever you guys are listening. Chris, I'm actually really interested to hear what you got tonight. What you got?
Capitals, more like lowercase GG boys.